Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, my dear students. How are you? I hope you are fine and enjoy good time and good health. Today, inshallah, we will resume talking about mathematics of finance with simple interest, chapter number 3, equations of value. Let's start with the first problem. A person owes $500 due in 4 months and $1,000 due in 8 months. What single payment 6 months hence will discharge these obligations? If the settlement is based on an interest rate of 12% and the focal date is 6 months hence. In this example, we have two old obligations and we need to replace them with a single payment after 6 months. The first old obligation is $500 reserved after 4 months from the beginning, and the second old obligation is $1,000 due in 8 months from the beginning. Note that the focal date lies after 6 months, the same date of the single payment after 6 months. To solve this problem, we must draw the timeline. In this timeline, we have the old obligations under the timeline, the new obligations above the timeline. The first old obligations lies 4 months from the beginning, and 1,000, the second old obligations lies after 8 months from the beginning. The new obligations X lies in the same date of focal date. According to the position of focal date, there is a single payment on the same time, new obligation, and one of all the obligations before it and the other after it. To solve this problem, we know that the value of old obligations must be equal to the value of new obligations. So the amount of sum of old obligations plus the present value of the other, the amount of $500 plus the present value of $1,000 at focal date must be equal to the amount or present value or X at focal date. Note that we use the formula S equal B times 1 plus RT to get the amount, and use the formula B equal S over 1 plus RT to get the present value. All of this with a rate of 12%. Value of old obligations equal to value of new obligations. S equal B times 1 plus RT. B equal S over 1 plus RT. The old obligations in the left hand side, X equal $500 times 1 plus 12% times 2 over 12 plus $1,000 over 1 plus 12% times 2 over 12. X equal the value of $500, 510. The value of $1,000 equal $980.39. The question here, how we calculate the time for the first old obligation and the time for the second old obligation. By looking in the timeline, to get the time for the first old obligations, we calculate the distance from the maturity date of the obligation and the focal date. So from the end of month number 4 to the end of month number 6, we have 2 months. The distance from 4 to 6. Also, To get the time for $1,000, it's a distance from the maturity date of $1,000 to the focal date, also equal 2 months. Note that we take x as its value, because if we get the amount of x, it will be equal to x. Also, if we get the present value of x, it will be equal x, because of the time for x equal 0. At the end, x will be equal 1,490.39. So we will replace $500 and $1,000 with $1,490.39 reserved after 6 months. Another example. Exercise number 2. A woman owes $6,000. She and her creditor agree that she can pay $2,000 now and the balance in 6 months. Find the payment in 6 months if the settlement is based on an interest rate of 16% and the focal date is 6 months hence. Note that we have one old obligation, $6,000. The woman and her creditor agree that she can pay $2,000 now and the balance in 6 months. We need to calculate the balance. According to focal date lies after 6 months and interest rate equal 16%. This is the timeline which explains our problem. We have $2,000, the original debt. We have $6,000, the original debt. The woman can pay $2,000 now and the receipt after 6 months. So we have one old obligation. We need to replace them, or we need to replace it with 2 new obligations, $2,000 now and X after 6 months. We can solve this problem with 2 ways. The first way, we can solve it as an equations of value problem. Value of old obligations equal value of new obligations, so value of $6,000 for the amount of $6,000 after 6 months equal to the amount of $2,000 plus X, and we can get X. Or $6,000 now, we can subtract $2,000 from $6,000, so we have $4,000 now. If we get the amount for $4,000 after 6 months, it will be equal to X. The first answer, value of old obligations equal to value of new obligations. Value of old obligations, $6,000 times 1 plus 16% times 6 over 12 equal to $2,000 times 1 plus R, $16,000 times T, 6 over 12 plus X. So the value of $6,000 equal 6,480, and the value for $2,000 equal to 2,160 plus x will be equal $4,320. In this timeline, the focal date lies after the maturity dates of old and new obligations. Note that the old obligations under the timeline and the new obligations above the timeline, all of them before the focal date. So to get the amount or to get the value of $6,000, we will get the amount of $6,000 after 6 months. And to get the value of the new obligations, we will get the value of x as its value and the amount of $2,000. The main formula, value of old equal to value of new. The focal date lies after the maturity dates of old and new obligations. Then the amount of old obligations equal to the amount of new obligations. Other solution, value of old obligations equal to value of new obligations. That is it. 6,000 minus 2,000, which is equal $4,000. We need to get the amount of $4,000 after 6 months. So x will be equal 4,000 times 1 plus r, t, r was 16%, and t 6/12. The same answer, $4,320. Exercise number 3. A man incurs a debt for $2,000 due in 3 months with interest at 13%. 1 month later, he pays $500 on the debt. What balance will he owe on the original due date? If the two parties to the transaction agree to use 13% in arriving at the settlement, focal date in 3 months hence. In this example, the original debt $2,000. Now, $2,000. Now, the creditor will pay the original debt after 3 months. So, the first step is to get the amount of $2,000 after 3 months. So the debitor will be O with the amount of $2,000. After 1 month, he need to pay $500 on the debt. Calculate the balance after 3 months. Note that the focal date will be after 3 months and the interest rate 13%. Look at the timeline. At the beginning, here we have $2,000. He will pay them after 3 months. So he owes $2,056 after 3 months. The debitor pay $500 after 1 month, and the receipt after 3 months. By looking in the timeline, all of obligations lies before the focal date, all the obligations in the same time, 500 before the focal date and the x in the same time of focal date. The main formula, value of all the obligations equal to value of new obligations. And because of the focal date lies after the maturity dates of all the new obligations, then the amount of all the obligations equal to the amount of new obligations. The maturity value after 3 months, we will use the formula S equal B times 1 plus RT. We have B with $2,000 and R 13% and T 3/12. The total amount $2,065. Now we write the main formula, value of all the obligations equal to value of new obligations. The new obligations in the left hand side and the old obligations in the right hand side. The old obligations X and 500, we need to get the amount of 500. So the value of all the obligations 2065 will be equal to X plus the amount of 500. X plus 500 times 1 plus 13% times 2/12. The value of 500 at focal date will be equal $510.833. So the balance after 3 months will be equal $1,554.1667. Revision for these problems. As the first problem, the focal date lies in between. So the amount of sum of all the obligations plus the present value of the others equal to X, because of X lies in the same time of all of the focal date. The second problem, the focal date lies after the maturity dates of old and the new obligations. So the amount of the amount of old obligations equal to the amount of new obligations. The amount of $600 equal to the amount of $2,000 plus X. Note that to calculate the time, it's the distance from the maturity date to focal date. The time for $6,000 equal 6 months. So T will be equal 6/12. The same for 2000. And the time for X equal to 0. The last problem. Also, the focal date lies after the maturity dates. But note that the original date, $2,000, now will be reserved after 3 months with 13%. So we must get the amount for 2000 at the beginning. Then we can use the formula of the value of old obligations equal to the value of new obligations. We have one old obligation, and we need to replace it with 2 new obligations, 500 after 1 month and X after 3 months. The balance here equal X. So 2056 equal the amount of 500 plus X. Thank you for watching. For any question, leave your comment at the bottom of the video and I'll try to answer it next time.